Welcome everybody to the Horizontal. This is season 1, episode 13, the finale of season 1 of the Horizontal, the championship podcast. And you might already know that today's winner, this year's winner of Junior Season League 11, is Nico Choi. Congratulations.
Thanks.
How's it feel?
Awesome. It's great to be back on top. December 26th. Great day. Great day to be me. Got the trophy, got the money, back on top, number one. And there's a line that I've been waiting to say, and that is, oh, Tyreek. Because Tyreek Hill helped me win this championship. That trade was huge. Helped me get into the playoffs. Helped me win the championship. And I got Brian and Nick in here who can't seem to control themselves. But you know what? That's what happens with teams that don't win. We get the guy who lost the finals, and we get the guy who came in last place. And you know what? This over here to the left of me is a testament to their season. But we can hear more from them in a little bit. We'll bring them in about a minute or two. But there's a few things that I want to talk about with my season. The Tyreek Hill trade, that was huge. It helped me get into the playoffs. Otherwise, if I didn't have Tyreek Hill, I would have lost my game to Jenko. Alex would have taken my 4th seed on the last week of the season.
If you even think about like the semifinals, he actually had the most points. So it was the consolation.
Right, yeah.
But like,
no, Alex very well could have won it all
really
if he got in.
Well, yeah, anyone who came between you and him who had the 4th seed was going to win it all. We just didn't know at the time, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, this side of the winner ultimately.
Yeah, I give my roster a lot of credit for putting up over 190 in both the playoff games. That was obviously really helpful. So luckily my team just got hot at the right time. And, all season we were kind of hanging around right in the middle of the pack. And then, you catch fire at the end of the year, and that's what it's all about. That's huge. That goes from putting your team, for me, to have another 4th place finish. And, now I can, I have the first place finish, number 1 victory. And that also sets me up well, I think, personally, for next year. I like my odds for hopefully my draft placement. That's huge. A lot of good things. And then kind of just as far as my roster throughout the season, a lot of the guys I drafted towards the top, a lot of the guys, a lot of the biggest guys that mattered to me the most were some of the guys I picked up. Alex Smith was someone that I picked up, and he was, for the most part, pretty solid all year. Robbie Anderson was a big receiver flex guy for me all year. Some of the late round guys I had, like Carlos Hyde, was solid all year. So, yeah. And, goes to show you, you're in it for a lot of the year as long as you can stay kind of in the mid-pack. Just keep working at your team, keep up with the free agents. Sometimes you got to pull the trigger on the right trade, and I'm happy that I made the trade I made, and I'm happy to be the champ.
Yep. It's your first championship since 2012, your second in Junior Season League.
Yep.
So
it's been a little while for me, yeah. Yeah, like I said,
not too bad, but
Yeah, for the most part, I've been
competitive.
I've been pretty good. Yeah, I've had some middle of the pack years the last couple of years, some 4th place finishes. Haven't won a playoff game in a while. But yeah, it's good. This is probably like my 3rd finals appearance, 3rd or 4th. But yeah, it's definitely good to be the champ again, back on top, and I have this till this time next year, so it'll be good.
Yeah, you are the champ for the full year. Got a nice little prize too.
Yeah.
Trophy, some money.
Yep, we took our picture. You guys can see it on the Twitter page.
Yep, that first annual commissioner handed off the trophy.
Yeah.
It's the first year we've ever had a trophy, so very nice. The floor. This is all about you. This podcast. Anything else you have to say to the rest of the league now that you are on top?
The rest of the league. Well,
it's all yours.
There's a lot of good competition this year. The most transactions of all time in one year. Teach had probably the most solid team all year. He was a great competitor. Alex made a lot of great moves this year. He was a solid team. To all the other playoff teams, you and Brian, you guys did excellent. But I don't know. I got hot at the right time, and I think I had a really solid roster, and I'm glad it ended up paying off. I think I had a really good team. So I guess if I can welcome in two guys I'd really like to thank also for my championship success. That'd be the guy beat in the finals, and be the guy who gave me someone who helped me get in the playoffs. So that's Nick and Brian. So you guys can hop on in here.
And just make note of this. This is per Nico request that he would like these two on his podcast. So, who knows? The floor is yours, Nico. So I guess
Floor's mine from now on.
this is your podcast. You want them on? We got them on. Brian, Nick, join us. How are we?
Doing fine.
Yeah, let's move Nick into the middle here.
This guy stinks.
And Brian,
Brian's been saving
Brian a
that.
little salty.
No, actually, I wasn't salty until I got called out on the second attempt on this podcast.
Okay, well, I wasn't going to say anything about you.
I
that
know.
negative until you came out.
And
you
Nick showed me a
distracted
meme, and I
me in the
started
beginning.
laughing.
So it's his fault?
Yeah.
Is that who you're going to blame?
Yeah.
It's
It was
always
worth
my
it, though.
fault.
It was
yeah.
worth it, though.
Just
I mostly blame you. Every time I look up, you have this crinkled bag look
Look,
on your
we can
face.
see what he's been typing. Oh, brother, they gotta make out.
Brian looks like he's about to bust out
He says
laughing
this is a
every
plane
second.
crash in slow motion.
I
Then he
didn't wanna
starts going
call
like
them out. I didn't
this.
want to have to call them out, but I had to. They made me.
Well, Nick
And now
has
you
not
guys
much
got
to
me
say.
upset, so.
Nick as the toilet champion, we all know.
It's good to have it. First time somebody's got it, glad it's me.
The inaugural toilet winner.
Yeah. So Nico, what do you have to say to these two? I mean, you had them on.
Well, thanks.
You're welcome.
I guess these two had the most significant impact on your
Yeah, I mean,
season.
if it wasn't for Brian not having a great week and Nick not coming to me with a trade offer, I wouldn't be here right now. So that was
Brings his
definitely really
haters
big.
on the podcast.
Yeah, well,
power moves
no,
only.
I just brought them here to talk, but then they ruffle my feathers at the beginning.
I said nothing. I'm not even next to you, so, to throw me under, I mean, you did lose to me, just so you know, this year.
No, I know, I did.
Yeah, we split our regular season as
Yeah,
well.
we did, yeah.
I'd like to point out that in the finals against you, I only scored one more point than our week one matchup, which I won 138 to 119.
Yeah, I scored like 119. We had a low scoring matchup in the middle of the year too.
We did. It was
like
152 to
155 to, like-
146. That
Oh, wow,
matchup.
jeez.
That matchup was hard. That was the night they traded Jimmy G.
It was Halloween
And
week.
because my power went out, and like the Kansas City was playing, and like
Oh, boy.
Kelsey like went out for a while, and like he had like huge catches before halftime, and then he went out, and that's how I lost that
was
week.
the game Harrison Butker kicked a bunch of field goals
Yeah.
on Monday night.
Yeah, I lost.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. You had a good season.
I
though, Brian.
did.
I'll give you that.
I had a great season. This is more than I anticipated going into this year. That 6-0 start or whatever it was, 5-0, 5-1, something like that. I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better start to the year. I went from 8-6, which was a record I had last year, but I didn't think was it 8-6 or
You were
6-8?
6-8.
6-8, which I didn't think I deserved 6 wins last year. I did not think I was that good of a team, and to come back and come in second, I mean. I won $50. I'm not complaining.
No, I know,
That's-
yeah.
That's you asked me on the last podcast, Mike, if doing all those trades would like equal success. I say, yeah. If I come in second and like earn money from it, then it's a success.
Well, here's something I wanted to bring up. And so this is something that we had talked about for a while. Was Brian made such the biggest splash with the trades. Oh God, here comes.
Don't read
I
that.
couldn't read the rest of it.
Censor that.
Yeah, I don't want to get censored out here. It's a family show. Here we go. I lost my train of thought.
Oh, you wanted to ask something?
Yeah. So something that has come up is how Brian has made such a big splash, and I think since the season is over now, I think people can look into it further. So I don't know. I was wondering what the consensus kind of the group here was. Is did Brian's moves? What do we think about Brian's trades now that it's all said and done?
I think the Gronk one better than I expected. Yet I'm a different strategy with picks. I want something a little bit close to the pick I gave up, but the fourth is fine.
Because there was a
That-
lot of people that were saying if Brian doesn't win at all, then it doesn't matter. At least that's what some people were saying. So
Yeah,
I'm
it's a mixed
wondering
opinion.
If, I don't know. I can't
The-
remember if
the
either of you
Fournette
guys
one
said
I
that
can't
before,
stand.
but I was wondering if you guys still stick by that now.
The Fournette one is still sticking out to me. That's
I
tough.
think if you make those trades, you have to win it all, and he didn't, and I think it's going to hurt him. Second place means nothing.
Yeah, it's $50.
It really doesn't. You win. Next year, what do you remember? Nico won. That's it. That's it. I mean, now Brian doesn't have his third or fourth round pick. He's going to have to hit on every pick next year. I mean, I think, he expected to win with making those trades. You don't make those trades and think, oh, I'm coming in second. This is great.
That's true.
It was a bad move. Brian does not have his third and fourth round pick, and now he's scrambling.
Well, in the finals this year, I didn't have my first or second round pick, and I was in the finals.
I didn't have my first round pick all year.
And
I mean,
I would say
at least
it's funny.
my season next year is still good, not killed like
I
what
mean,
you did to your team.
I don't really value my early round picks as much as my mid round picks. Of the five players
Give me your first and second. I'll give you my seventh and eighth. It'll be good.
All right, we could do that. Well, I need a little more than that, but I mean, of my like 5 starting players in my finals lineup, they were from like round like was it 3, 4, 5, and 6, or, like 4 of them, and then my kicker. So like,
My second and fourth round is Ty and DeMarco Murray. They didn't play for me either.
yeah, and I'd like to also point out that I lost my second round pick after like 3 games this year, which is Odell Beckham Jr. But then I also lost my like superstar 40-point-a-week quarterback in the final week of the regular season.
No, you did. That was very unfortunate.
So Alshon Jeffrey, it didn't matter in the finals. I wouldn't have won anyway. Alshon Jeffrey got 0 points in the finals. That's how bad the Eagles' offense got. Without my 40-point-a-week quarterback, and I had Nelson Aguilar on the bench too, and there was a thought I was like, well, I know Foles is like uses the slot guy more, so maybe I put him. It wouldn't have made a difference either way, but I mean, they were both scoring 20 points a week with Carson Wentz, who's putting up 40 himself. Instead, my quarterback's gonna be like 6 points. But
Winston kept fumbling the ball.
He had 18 points at one point.
He had a lot of he threw for a lot of yards.
He had 18 points
He
at
had like 380 yards thrown.
He had like 18 points with 2 fumbles, and then he took like 2 sacks and like another fumble, and he finished with like 12 points.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And Dak was very up and down for you.
Dak before the Zeke thing was money.
Right.
And then Zeke goes out. He's bad for like 3 weeks, and then I had no choice. I had to put him in once Wentz got hurt.
Right, yeah.
And he's like the final weeks of the suspension, the last like 2 or 3 weeks, he got good again. Like they figured it out with Rod Smith at running back, and they were just able to run that offense again. And then
were you using Prescott and Wentz throughout?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Winston was out for a while.
Right.
And then when he came back, I just didn't trust him.
Sure.
And then, like last week was the first week that I started Winston and Dak, or whatever. I think it was last week, and Winston put up like 32 points. It was like best of the year against Mike.
Stupid.
And but Dak, once Zeke came back, they were playing the Seahawks, but like the Seahawks aren't the Seahawks anymore, and
right.
They couldn't get anything going, so that was disappointing. But I mean, if anything, the players that I traded for to put me over the top were not the ones that killed me. I got in the finals. I got 16 points from Leonard Fournette, and I got 25 points from
two
Gronk.
Top guys
and then
in the game,
my quarterbacks lost it for me, and that's because my top guy was out, and the second guy didn't play well, and third guy was Jameis Winston. So, but I mean, I'm content with where I finished there. I would have obviously liked to win the championship, but next year's next year. We'll focus on that when we get there, and we're on to the draft, and
Yeah. Something else I thought was interesting about yesterday, and I know it's kind of second tier to the championship game, but Mike's third place game had a very ridiculous finish, and I'm just wondering. I guess Mike probably wants to talk about. I don't know if he actually wants to talk about it, but
Yeah, it's
hopefully
fine.
get Mike to talk about it a little bit. I don't know if the other guys have anything to say about it either, but
Well, I'll give you a summary.
yeah. For anyone who missed it,
I was up 6 points against Teach in the consolation semifinal game. 3 seconds left in the
3 seconds left on the fantasy football season.
right. 3 seconds left in the fantasy football season. Eagles versus Raiders. Up
Derek
6
Carr
points.
about to call hike for the very last play of fantasy football.
Yes, Teach has just Philadelphia defense, and they're on defense.
Yahoo gives Mike 100% chance to win the game.
Yes, they did.
I will
That
just
was on that. It was on there.
interrupt to say that on Christmas morning I had a 3% chance of victory, and I screenshotted that just in case there was some miracle comeback. But
Sometimes Yahoo does miss with those.
yeah,
Case in point.
yeah.
They gave Teach a 0% chance of winning.
So Carr snapped the ball. He gave it to Amari Cooper, who then lateraled it backwards, and then whoever that is lateraled it backwards to
Washington or Richard.
Carr, who went over his head, and then some big ass dude for Philly picked it up and rolled into the end zone. So if you do that math out, it's a fumble recovery, which is 2 points, fourth down stop, which is 2 points, so we're at 4, and then a touchdown, which is 6, so 10 points, and then so with 3 seconds left, it's a 10-point swing, and I lose by 4 points, 4 or 5 points, and that means not much, but it just means I have a 2% lower chance of getting the pick I wanted. That's it was just, and I wanted the top 3 finish, not for nothing. I would
have been on the podium.
I would have liked to finish bronze over 4th, but that's not, I guess, not a big deal. But just to watch that live, and then I had to watch the week before. Jameis Winston marched down the field, and
I was so nervous that
score a
game.
touchdown when I was up.
That was crazy.
That game was so back and forth.
Yeah, the Mike Bryan matchup, actually, that was crazy, too.
That might have been the matchup like of the playoffs. Just
Of the
like,
playoffs, yeah. Absolutely.
All I needed was maybe 1 first down, 1 or 2 first downs. Winston was allowed.
What I remember from that game was, well, Winston threw that bomb, and then all of a sudden I was like, all right, Brian's got it. But then Freeman ran for the touchdown. That was big. And I was like, oh, God. I was like, I think maybe Mike has this. And then Winston drove all the way down the field. I was like, all right.
I was like, once Winston was driving and he was getting the yards, I was like, all right, I'm comfortable.
Thing
that-
is, I thought they might hit the field goal and go to overtime.
I didn't. I was praying they wouldn't.
Because if Freeman scores a big
Freeman
touchdown.
runs gets like a 30-yard run.
If the Falcons get the ball, it's basically all Freeman that leads to a score, then you lose.
I was like, oh, Atlanta blows it again. I'm like, surprise.
All right, so then another topic that I thought would be interesting for us to talk about is, I don't know, maybe just talk about the other owners in the league.
Oh,
Our thoughts on them and our thoughts on their team this year, their ownership.
well, I'd like to bring up the regular season MVP, Dick's out,
okay.
Teach's team. Incredible regular season, dominant. But much like the Kansas City Chiefs, of which his running back is from, epically collapsed
Gonna look on Nick's
in the
face right
second
now.
half of the season to, get knocked out in the first round of the playoffs. But he was unstoppable at the beginning of the year. Now he had one loss. I believe he lost to Janko in like week 2 or something.
He lost to Nick, too.
Oh, he lost to you.
There once upon a time, Teach and Nick were tied at 2-2.
Yeah, I mean,
And then they both went on 10-game
I
streaks.
started with that long undefeated streak, but even I knew everyone was talking on the podcast when I was on that streak. Everyone was like, "It's like Brian's gonna go 8-8 to finish out the year. Like there's a chance Brian will have the biggest collapse." And I was so nervous about that happening. And of course I finished with my 5 counting postseason losses, but I was shocked that Teach. I did not want to face Teach in the
neither did I.
playoffs.
Well, Teach had 5 receivers. This isn't even exaggerating. Teach had 5 receivers in the top 15. We even took a look at it today.
Yeah, Teach
top
is
10 maybe.
bench.
It's like
had
Thielen or Landry can't play because you just can't put that many receivers in. And that's better than some people's number 1. And then his running backs were top. He had Russell Wilson, who was the number 1 quarterback in points.
I mean, he had don't forget at one point he had Dalvin Cook too before he got hurt. It was Cook, McCaffrey, and Hunt, and all 3 of them were Teach's rookie running backs. They were just tearing it up.
So where'd he go wrong in the end?
Well, Hunt obviously cooled off. He was getting 9 points a
He
game.
finished off well though. He came back again. He
Once-
scored he scored 30 something against me in the
Oh,
playoffs.
really? I didn't know that. I know once Kansas City in the regular season was slowing down, he had a streak of not playing very well.
No, he didn't. Yeah, he didn't.
I think Teach really what it came down to was that he had one unlucky week against you.
That's true. He put up 180 in the playoff
But
game.
what I told him in a text was that, like, you just had such an epic finals week that he wouldn't have beaten you anyway in the finals. It's, and you had one of the best weeks of the year points wise.
Yeah.
That you probably a top 10 in overall points, I would say, at some, of all the games this season.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was, that's the week to have it. I mean, it doesn't matter if you score 212 in the regular season if you only score 160 in the post. So
yeah, that's true. I don't know what else to say about him. I mean, he'll probably he so far his like time in the league's been pretty successful.
Teach, I believe, might be the strongest drafter in this league.
Wow, that's bold.
Yeah,
He's got 2 top 3 finishes.
I get it's hard to argue with.
Should only be 1, but
2 top 3 finishes, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, percentage wise, yes.
Yeah.
he's
Right
only
up
been in the
there.
league 2 years, so
I don't know. Hopefully, maybe his style will fail him next year. He puts a lot of faith in his rookie running backs, so we'll see. I'm not saying he's going to.
I feel
because
like-
I don't think that's be smart of me, but
I feel like this year there was an explosion of like new running backs that will be first and second round talents in the draft next year. Whereas before, you had David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell, and then like everyone was taking receivers in the early rounds. I think next year's going to be a lot more running back heavy in those earlier rounds.
I don't know. I really don't know what to predict. It's just going to be a big mix again. And it's like the draft picks are all over the place, so like
Yeah.
people are going to start taking things in different places. Josh is going to be working on tight end 2 when Brian's like working on quarterback 2. So
Yeah.
it's going to be different, at least in the beginning of the rounds.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on to who do you want to bring up next?
I guess we'll stick to the non-people here.
Well, yeah. We'll go with Jenko. He's the first name that came to my mind.
Janko, his team, I think, had the biggest roller coaster of the year. I think he just sucked completely.
Oh, I think his draft was horrible.
He sucked big ones to start off.
I thought he was going to come in last at some
I
point.
thought so too.
Which was disappointing. It was sad to see the mighty fall like that.
But then Janko,
I thought he was terrible.
Janko
at the
turned
start
back
off
into
the year.
Janko.
Yeah,
Jenko made a push at the end.
all of a sudden, these guys. I mean, I said it in the previous podcast, but it's like Keenan Allen turned it on. Devontae Adams. He had the Kamara pickup, which was huge.
Rogers getting hurt him.
Rogers.
2 things went
Rogers
wrong.
getting hurt. If Jenko had been able to win like 2 or 3 more games,
That's true.
that means someone else would have had losses.
I mean, he did
could've
have
made it.
Keenan
And then
Newton, who actually played well.
Terrell
for him
Pryor
for
ruined
a
this
while.
season.
That was
Yeah,
Terrell Pryor
in the 3rd round. I thought to
arguably the
myself,
worst
pick. Yeah.
I don't even know if it's arguable. I think it's just
He picked
definitive.
Pryor, Hopkins, Baldwin, and Adams.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
And
bad.
Jeffrey
That's
and
rough. Everybody else,
everyone else that
everyone
I
else
took.
who mattered,
Yeah.
anyone else who scored a touchdown this year.
Yeah.
You wouldn't get drafted next year.
Oh yeah, it's like who wants that next year?
Kenny Britt's gonna go before Terrell Pryor.
A lot of people. You're gonna get drafted before
Yeah.
Terrell Pryor next year.
No, he just had a roller coaster season. He's got good too late, so didn't matter at the end because only 4 teams make the playoffs. So you can't start off. If you're gonna start bad, it's gonna be early, and you can't be bad towards the middle. Like I always wanted 4, but like it was still early
You could
enough.
be bad, I guess, for a little bit in the middle if you kind of make the comeback.
Yeah, you're gonna have to get real hot though. That's really hard to do.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, my thing was that I started hot. I had that long streak, and then in the middle, I was like win 1, lose 1, win 1, lose 1, and then I had like a couple. I strung
What's
a
your
couple
regular
wins.
season record?
10-4.
4.
You never really struggled that much.
No, but it was just I'd win 1, lose 1, and it was a pattern. Like I wasn't streaking anymore. I wasn't
Right.
getting like 2 in a row, 3 in a row.
That's true. Yeah.
So, it's hard to keep momentum going when you just have weeks like that.
I guess. All right. So for next year, Janko, our outlook here.
I'm gonna say playoffs.
Well,
I think he comes back.
I mean,
The league's better when Jenko is like able to troll us in the group.
I think
and-
he is a smart fantasy player. I think he just had an unfortunate season.
I think the offline draft hurt him.
Yeah, he seemed a little unprepared or something. I think I threw him off.
He was
with
laying on the floor
Brady
too
pick,
much.
and I feel like he felt forced into Rodgers.
I think he
not
put-
that that was a bad
yeah.
pick because it wasn't, but then I think it threw off his draft. And he wasn't expecting it, and him being on the floor, I don't know what it is. But Janko, yeah, if you're in Europe right now, I guess
Couldn't
no one
tell.
listens to this live, but Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what you do next year. All right, so Josh or Alex,
Mr.
who do
B?
you want to attack
We'll
next?
do Mr. B. Mr. B
right.
first. And
Josh.
Josh, here's what I'll say about Josh. I'll start this one.
everyone's got a lot to say about Josh.
In the podcast of the season, I thought Josh was going to get a lot better. And boy, was I wrong. And you know what? I think I lost all my faith in Josh. I'm sorry, Josh. I think you're an awesome guy.
He thinks you're
And-
well,
cute.
dude.
I actually like the approach you took. I think you tried to do kind of what I do sometimes in the draft, but you didn't get the right guys. And now I don't know if I can trust you getting the right guys next year. You do have a lot of picks. You're gonna, like I said, you're gonna be working on tight end 2 in the second round because you're already gonna have 12 guys. But I don't know. You need to prove to me that you can get the right guys.
Well, I said it to Josh earlier tonight when I briefly spoke to him on the phone. He's the Hugh Jackson of the league.
He's the 76ers, right?
Josh's career record is egregious.
That's what I mean.
Fact. This is a fact.
Horizontal
Josh's
fact.
career record in 2 seasons in Juicy League is 7-21. Let the record state 7-21.
Oh, brother, this guy stings. Well, you know what? I think early on in the season, one of my predictions was that Josh wasn't going to hit on his picks because it was a lot of
did you
talk
say that?
early on in the season about Josh is gonna.
Yeah, well, Josh is Mr. Fantasy Football before the year started.
The horizontal owes his very existence.
He's
to
the
Josh.
original episode. And it was, I got the whole first 4 rounds planned out.
Oh, I mean,
Josh is the reason why we got the trophies.
when
Josh was like coming after the vice president of the
he
league.
was, I mean, you know, I think when you picked Tom Brady,
Josh melted.
Josh said, "Oh no," and then his whole
Josh
draft
melted.
collapsed. All those first 4 rounds that he had mapped out, where I had like Gronk in the first round, like McGillislee in the second round, like Brady in the third, as if Brady was gonna make it that far.
Josh melted.
That
Yeah,
ruined him.
Josh got too cocky. He's like, yeah, I know how these guys draft, and he's like,
I
well,
think-
first of all, we have 2 new people in the
Yeah.
draft, so I was like, I don't know how you're gonna think.
You can't predict the first.
Like, I don't know how
4
you're gonna think of
rounds.
that.
You can maybe predict picks 1 through like 5, and that's about it.
I think this year humbled Josh.
the
You
other
might see a 5-win team
Yeah.
season next
Josh
year.
is still gonna come out fiery again next year. He's got all the picks.
Josh is
so-
gonna go 6-8 next year.
Josh has a lot to
My official
prove.
prediction.
Because if Josh goes like 3 and whatever again next year,
Does he get fired?
it's not going to be
We
a good
relocate
look.
his franchise.
Did we fire Josh?
Josh has a lot to prove, and he's on the hot seat.
Josh is on the hot seat, big time.
Josh is like the Marvin Lewis right now. I'd take my Hugh
He's
Jackson back.
worse. At least Marvin Lewis made the playoffs.
That's true. Didn't get a win, but I think one thing about Josh too is that he fell in love with those Tennessee Titans players. And
That's a problem.
that-
Josh gets attached.
Josh
Marcus
got
Mariota,
attached.
4th round. I would say I wouldn't be cut dead with him. Now I know I drafted him like the end of the thing the year before, but like he is just not my type.
Yeah. Hold on, I'm gonna just check one of these draft stats here.
In regards to what he picked, like
one
what
of
round?
one of my picks. All right, so
Oh.
I picked just for the sake. I picked Jameis Winston in the 5th round because I thought Jameis Winston was going to be a great quarterback this year. But
To the disapproval of Nick.
I only started him until my other quarterbacks got hurt. I only started him once.
No, I was expecting Tampa to have a better offense.
I started him week 1, and then everybody else was better, so I didn't start him again until the end of the season.
Derek Carr's supposed to be my QB too. I drafted him in the 4th round.
But
I
that's-
was all about like the Raiders' offense. I thought the Raiders gonna make the playoffs this year.
But what I mean is that like I didn't get attached to him either. I mean, I thought Winston was gonna be great, and I had so
You got
much
him in 2 leagues,
confidence in
right?
him. I got him in 2 leagues, and I ended up starting my like 12th round quarterback over him like every single week. So
Well, it's not like Wentz was like a fluky 12. I think a lot of people. I mean, I knew he obviously slipped, and like you're the one who took him. But
Yeah.
like, I think it was
Wentz-
expected because he had a good rookie year. He looked solid last year. I had him as my QB3 last year, and
I had said in that round, I said I'm taking either Carson Palmer or Carson Wentz.
I wanted Wentz as my
I said
backup.
whatever Carson is available is what I'm taking.
We should
And
just
that was
have-
when I had
I guess it
the
didn't
we had
matter,
the
but-
snake, and I was 7, Alex was 8, 9, and then I was 10. Of whatever round we were in, going into round 12, and Alex took Carson Palmer, the pick before mine. I said, well, I guess it's Carson Wentz, and I thought Palmer was going to rebound.
I wanted Wentz
but
too.
thankfully I got Wentz. And
Wow.
I'd just like to also point out now that since I'm on the thinking about those later rounds, you picked up Martavis Bryant in the 13th round, and I said at the time that was the steal of the draft because he was suspended
I played against him fantasy
4 games,
championship
and
week.
and then he was on the waivers. Antonio Brown was hurt, and I said.
Wasn't a bad pick.
I said I need a Hail Mary that might win me this week because I did not feel confident going into this matchup. I knew Nico was going to lay down the points, and I said, you know what? It's only poetic that the guy who I thought was the steal of the draft is
I guess so.
gonna show up in my lineup. Hey, he got 10 points, but
All right, bringing it back on subject, anyways.
Sorry,
Final verdict here on, or maybe next year's outlook for Josh.
6 and 8.
I like the 6 and 8.
6 and 8. Yeah. What I'll just say is he's got a lot to prove. Nick.
I'll take the under at 6.
He's under at 6. Under 6.
I think
No confidence.
it's funny because Josh entering the league last year had the bad season. This year, did he do better this year or worse?
He bet better by a game.
Better by a game. So it's literally like he's an expansion team. He's building up with the crappy players and slowly getting better.
All right. So, Mr. House.
Yeah, what do we think about Alex's team?
Alex is a sneak.
At one point, I dubbed him the scariest
Not in a
team
bad
in the
way.
league.
Not in a bad way. Alex is not a sneak in a bad way. Alex is a sneak. Is he'll make a move and you didn't even see it happen.
I think if we had awards for this year, Alex would be the executive of the year.
Yep, manager, definitely.
It was the trades he made.
That's
were
why
great.
he's sneaky. He it just happened out of nowhere.
He pulled off adding Antonio Brown onto his team, adding Ben Roethlisberger. That Roethlisberger Brown is a lethal combination.
I was so scared of him going into the playoffs. I was hoping he wouldn't make them because I didn't want to face him.
Did he acquire anyone else via trade in our league at least? I know he did a lot in Nick's league, but that's another story.
I don't know if he made any big trades.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with this.
But I
Roethlisberger and
I
Brown's
okay the
big.
trades. I just accept them, and then at the very end I see Antonio Brown for a 4th. I had no one talked about that.
Here's a question though: was Alex's trade worth it?
Yes.
Yeah.
How could it be worth it? He didn't make the playoffs.
He
Yeah,
wouldn't have
Nick-
had a chance to get in the playoffs if he didn't make the trade.
Nick, I think I might have to agree with you.
I don't know. I mean, I critique Brian for trading his 3rd and 4th and making the championship game. I'm going to critique a guy who lost his 4th for nothing, basically. He didn't make the playoffs. It's a horrible trade.
Yeah, Nick, I'm on your side because at the time I thought it was for a while it looked like it was a good trade because Brown was putting up big points every week and is the reason why Alex got to where he was. But in the end, it didn't get him anything. And now he's out a 4th round pick next year. So I just told him that it was a kind of a good move and it obviously helped him out and made him as good as he could be. But in the end, long term, wasn't a good trade, I guess.
No, it was,
No, I
I
guess
think it was a
maybe
very
not.
bad trade. Looking back, it's horrible.
Jeez.
Nick has almost said one positive thing about anybody. But no, it's true. I'm on your side this time, and
I will say one thing
That's
about
the first.
Nick's critiques of my trades. I will say he's right about the Fournette. I think everyone's right about the Fournette. As a matter of fact, I overpaid for Fournette. Didn't want to give that pickup for Fournette. I didn't value Fournette that high, but I needed a running back, and he was the best running back in the game at that point. That was for sale. I would not do that trade again because I don't, as a personal matter of strategy, do not value running backs that high. Strategy. Duke Johnson put up 17 points a game every week this year.
Duke Johnson had a good
And he was
year.
on the crappiest team in the league. And
Yeah.
if I had started him I didn't start him because he was on the crappiest. I only started him when I needed him, but he was consistent. He had good
He's the
games
only
every
guy
week.
who gets the ball over there.
Yeah, but I do think my Gronk trade was good. I would do that again in a heartbeat. Gronk, every game he played for me, he scored over 20 points. So I definitely owe a couple wins to Gronk.
I don't know.
No.
Next year,
Yeah.
Alex.
Next year, Alex.
What do you think? What do you think about Alex's draft? I don't know. What did you thought about Alex's draft next year? Maybe.
He can never draft quarterbacks.
Andrew Luck.
I mean, he did draft. What did you draft? Palmer and Luck.
No matter what quarterback he picks, and it was Matt Ryan too. I think his first quarterback.
Yeah.
He
Oh,
can't
boy.
pick quarterbacks.
Yeah, Alex has a
No
tough
matter
time
what
with.
quarterback he picks, don't pick the receivers on that team. They're gonna go down.
Alex better stay away from the teams I like. Stay away from Brady.
Yeah.
No, I think he's gonna be in a similar situation he was in this year.
I do too. I think he'll be better, but it would be comparable. Same ballpark.
I think it's gonna be a boomer bust year.
Oh, I could see that. I could see him going all in.
Well,
He's not. I guess he's not afraid.
yeah,
He's
that's
not
true.
afraid.
I feel like Alex could be kind of boom bust just because he kind of
No, he always takes the risk.
he makes bold moves. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
He's a sneak. I told you. It's out of nowhere. It's great.
He's never won a fantasy title for football, but you know.
That's why I think he'd also be willing to like kind of risk it all because at this point,
He just wants the victory.
Yeah. He's looking like the Cubs look right now, you know.
yeah, lovable losers.
Joe.
He was literally a W away from a
Oh, he
championship.
ended up with more points than me at the end of the year, which I feel a little scummy about.
I mean, it's only a point and a half, I guess.
No, I know.
Let's not go down that path.
I was gonna say I think we have a lot of points discussion to talk about at the winter meetings. That's gonna be a major topic of contention.
We can bring that up, I guess, or whatever soon. But does anyone want to make a way too early playoff predictions for next year?
I'm gonna do better than this year, maybe.
Gee, I hope so. Otherwise, your ass is out. Can't go 2-12 again.
Does anyone feel bold enough to make a hard early read?
I don't know the order. Me, Jenko, Teach, Nico.
Wow.
You are gonna make the playoffs?
See, I think exactly, except you are the bottom 4 teams. And I think the other 4 are the top 4 teams.
What?
So,
Me, Nick, Alex, and Josh.
yeah,
Josh making the playoffs?
Wow. Nick, I was about to pick you to be towards the top, but
I say I
just
lose.
called me out.
I say I lose in the finals.
Well, to
I don't know who. I can lead
Jenko.
anyone.
I was gonna say Jenko too. Just
I can see Jenko beating Bags in the finals.
Yeah.
I'm losing the finals. You can basically book it. It's just gonna. It's like kind of like I'm getting close. I'm creeping.
I'll also say this: if I make the playoffs, I get in as the 4 seed.
Yeah. I agree.
All right,
with that
here's just a random hard early read. Me and Nick are going to be the 3 and 4 seeds next year.
Wow.
I'll take it.
I don't know which one's getting which, but me and Nick are getting the last 2 playoff spots.
Nick's gonna come in 5th in the league, but he's gonna have more points than like anyone in the top 4.
I look for Nick to rebound. Oh yeah, I guess we might as well talk about him.
Yeah.
He hasn't spoken up enough, so. I think Nick didn't really draft poorly. He just
No.
got very unlucky,
He did.
and we've talked about it plenty. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
Then he had a fire sale.
He's got a decent eye for the right guys.
Wait, what about a couple more games? Probably. Tyreek and Gronk were pretty good towards the stretch.
I mean, I lost 2 of my
And-
top 6 picks in week 1.
And Roethlisberger.
And Nick low key has some good draft picks next year. He
Yeah.
has 2 8ths and 2 4ths. That's a meaty round 1 through 8.
And who knows? Maybe I'll trade up.
Maybe
Package
he will.
those up. Move up.
You know, what are the hottest
knows?
rumors in the off season here?
One of the hottest rumors.
Yeah,
It's gonna be between him and Teach.
Nick.
Nick and Teach. Watch.
Don't count me out on that.
I
I
could
don't
see-
know what you're gonna do.
I could see Brian doing something.
I've been scheming for like months.
I don't know. Does Nick
I've
have
been
the
scheming since I pulled
Nick
that
have the
trade
guts
off.
to do something splashy?
Him? Yeah, he does. Look at him. Of course he
You don't
does.
worry about it.
Listen. Nick wants to move up. Teach wants to move
I
down.
think Teach
it's
wants
a,
to
it's
do
a marriage.
something.
It's a marriage.
Janko definitely
have-
won't.
Jacob will not trade.
Janko's not doing anything. I don't think I am either.
No, I wouldn't if I were you. You just won the championship. Everyone plays conservatively after they won the championship, except the Warriors who get the ring it.
I'll tell you.
Or
I'll,
lose,
Take
I
the
guess.
rant.
I'll tell you. I think a lot of my like moves on draft day are gonna depend on where I'm drafting. So we're not gonna know until we set the lottery.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because-
That's a good point.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, because actually that's a good point because that's a big deal now. Because
Yeah.
someone could have back-to-back picks.
Mhm.
I mean, you could potentially have 3 picks in a row in the 12th round.
I got a question for Nick.
Yeah.
What things do you want to address the most in the winter meetings?
Would I want to address the most?
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like it's all there. It's all good right now. Some minor things I would suggest, but nothing major.
All right. What minor things would you bring up?
Not losing point for every sack, or
Okay, yeah,
That's fair.
Yeah.
I think that's the major thing. Everything else seems fine.
That's on the list, so.
It's just that one seems like, I mean, 1 week I had like 11 sacks with
Yeah,
my quarterbacks.
I was
Did
gonna
Mike
say the same
did
thing.
Mike show you the topics?
No.
No, I'm not revealing until,
Oh, okay. Well, I guess no spoilers then.
No.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was coming up with a list of my own the other night, and that was on it. The
Yeah.
sacks. So
yeah,
James
everyone's
Winston
well
would
aware.
have a lot more points if he wasn't taking all these sacks.
Everyone's been gathering
Isn't there-
ideas.
What's
So,
like the biggest thing?
what's the biggest thing?
Points is probably the biggest.
No, there's something.
The draft itself. No, the lottery. That's the big debate.
Okay.
That's the big
When
one.
should it be done?
The lottery idea itself is
Has this
fine.
been brought up to Nick yet?
I don't know. The idea of it is that the odds, the way I do it, is fine. It's just that, do you get the first pick, or do you get to choose your spot?
No, you get the first pick.
I think choose. Why do I have a 30% chance?
This is exactly what I was saying.
Safe.
I think all the teams that made the playoffs want the teams that didn't make the playoffs to just get placed. And all the teams that didn't make the playoffs are going to want to pick. So I think we might get split 50-50 on the vote.
That's gonna be the hottest topic. That's gonna be
Well,
that's gonna be the
commissioner
most talked.
rules.
Yeah,
right?
that's going to be the sauciest debate. I see where you're coming from, Nick. Because
Would that go in this year, or that'll be next year?
That would be in effect this year.
Oh, what? Okay.
Nick, I see where you're coming from. Because if I was in your position, I'd want the same for myself too. I'm just coming from it kind of from a selfish point of view.
Yeah, well, we all are.
Well, I mean, you had fourth pick in the dreaded middle picks, and you won it all.
That's a good point. I mean,
I
in
mean,
the
you can win at every pick. It's just what do you favor more than the other? I mean, you can
right.
win at any.
No, in the end, it doesn't really matter because what really matters is are you staying up with your team all year? That's really the most important thing. Is are you picking up the right guys as the season goes on? Are you making the right moves, deals?
74 moves.
You're
over
like
here.
your lineup or whatever. Because like even if you drafted a good team, it's not going to stay that way throughout the entire year. You have to make some moves, and yet
I mean, I
so.
got lucky that I believe I only lost 1 week in the regular season this year. That was because I didn't start the right people. I pretty much had my lineup set to the point that I would maximize my potential. So like I feel like that's definitely a big thing, is having that bench of guys that you pick up week to week that can just help you out, especially when the buys come, because that's hard.
Janko told me to start Juju Smith in the semifinals, and I didn't listen to him, and I lost because of it.
Thanks,
Didn't I
Janko.
tell you that too?
You might have too, actually. No, I'll take better advice next year. That's why I'm going to lose in the finals next year.
And
Book
Nick's,
it.
Nick's going to advise Mike to do something. Mike's not going to listen. And Mike's going to lose to Janko. After I lose to Janko and Nick loses to Mike the round before. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's my prediction then.
It's like poetry right there. Everyone's losing to each other.
I'll be the 4, Janko the 1, Mike the 2, Nick the 3. And then the 1 and 2 are both going to win for this year.
The first time ever.
And they're going to play each other. And then the 1 is going to beat the 2. Everyone's going to finish where they were. Except for I beat Nick in the consolation. I get the top 3
Wait.
finish.
Is this the second consecutive year that the 4 seed... No, 3 seed won last year.
I go.
Yes. The 3 seed.
Yeah, a winner has not come back for their second year in a while.
Oh yeah, is Nico gonna be out of the league?
Nico's out of the league. Can that be a topic at the owners' meeting? Can we vote Nico out of the league? The tribe has spoken.
I don't know what my approval rating is.
I don't think owners
I think-
have approval.
I think your
ratings.
your approval rating is like assistant commissioner was very high before, but with this championship, the power has been cemented between these two owners.
It's true. It does look very
It's
fishy.
like Roger Goodell and like Jerry Jones before like the rift.
Bags equals Goodell.
No, not that again.
BAGGS.
One of the best team names of all time.
I must have had one of the lowest approval ratings in
Oh,
history.
Mike almost got overthrown by the people. The people being the Acetas. I don't know if you
Well,
guys
there
will
were
ever
3
hear
of them,
this.
so
Every fish.
Yeah.
And Nick's been
People
through his
think all
troubles and
that and then
turbulation.
No, you can get rid of any person.
Nick wrote a book, Somehow I Manage.
I have a signed copy of The Art of the League
Yeah. And Nick wrote 2
by
books
Nick
actually.
Salvatore.
Somehow I manage where he's like going like that on the front, and then the art of the
The Art of the League,
He's
yeah.
like signing like papers.
But no, everything's been going good. The Orange meeting will be big. That's coming up this weekend.
Bigly.
I don't know. I definitely had a. I will say, if we're talking about approval ratings, I definitely had a very low approval rating this year. Nobody in this league. I think it was because I started out. So
I was worried
hot.
that I was gonna come back.
Oh, yeah,
to,
people
like,
were hating on
help
you.
out because I was like, people have been counting on Brian all year. I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised if he just wins
I
it
mean,
all
like,
and
when-
rubs it back in everyone's face.
when the Twitter poll went up. I was the only vote for myself.
I know. I didn't
was
like
like-
the Twitter poll because I was like, the guy who gets like the more vote. I was like, I don't like the way this looks.
Yeah, I was like, and I knew it. I was like, oh man, everyone hates me. I like.
What'd you say, Nick?
I got crapped on all last year for my bad decisions, and like this year I
think
redeemed
you-
myself, and everyone still hated
You're
me.
still kind of in the Gronk like first overall pick hangover.
All right, guess what I'm taking next year, buddy.
I think it's the moves. I think it's all the moves you make.
Sorry, Nick. What were you saying?
I even voted in that poll.
Oh,
And I will say one thing. Nick has been a big believer of mine for a long time now.
I have.
And I appreciate it. I apologize for not thanking you quick enough the first time.
No, I mean, I helped you win. I mean, without me, you're nothing, so.
He did. No, you did.
I will say.
I owe you a lot.
I'll also say that
Maybe I'll buy you dinner instead.
if there was one person that had to win the championship that wasn't me, I'm glad it's Nico.
Appreciate
I
it,
was
Brian.
behind.
Thank you.
I was on the Nico train. If it wasn't me, it was Nico was my backup pick, and only not Bags
Look at Nick's face.
because that means Bags would have had to beat me to get there, and I would have been salty,
Yeah.
and not Teach because I live with Teach and would have had to hear that a lot. So
I was afraid if you were gonna win, what was gonna happen?
I would have been a very
world
good
would-
winner.
No, Brian.
The world would have been upside down.
Brian would have been like he wouldn't have rubbed it in.
No. I would only rubbed it in when people like got on my case.
No,
I'd be
I
like,
know.
Oh yeah,
I know.
league champion.
Well, the thing is, Brian could have waved that over. There is countless sound bites you could pick out
Oh,
from the
God.
podcast this year that Brian could literally just wave his money in.
yeah.
Brian would have brought the championship to the draft and just like laid it down. Like, all right,
Hey,
guys.
you know what? If he did that,
Oh, I was planning on
deserved
like
it.
hiring like someone to like carry like championship belts like behind me,
I think they're gonna say carry you in.
like the John Cena music like blaring when Vince McMahon walk into the draft. We'll save it for next year.
He still got $50. Second place
I'm
finish.
content with that. I made $50 this week.
Oh, that's another issue that's coming in, the money.
Oh yeah, we might up the ante.
I'd be
Oh,
okay with
Nico's
that.
gonna pay for more?
Oh,
Well,
I can't believe this.
I'd be okay with upping the ante and adding back the person with the points gets money too.
Well, there's a lot to talk
Oh,
about.
we'll talk about
Yeah.
that.
Keep
I
that in
still
mind.
don't know because then I don't know. I don't want to keep distributing like the money everywhere again.
Well, because then instead of giving it to like top 3, we get like 1, 2, and then like guy with points.
Yeah, Teach would be pissed about that this year.
Guy with points gets his money back. We could
So
say.
the guy with points
Gets his money back.
Jenko. Okay, so the guy who had the most points didn't win the championship either year. Didn't make the championship either year.
Wow, that's crazy.
I don't know how far.
Nick's
back
getting
that
most
goes,
points
but-
next year. He's not going to make the playoffs.
Yep.
Okay, we'll give Nick the
Fifth
most
seed.
points, third seed.
No, Nick most points, 8th seed.
Oh well, in my fantasy, he comes in third.
But, yeah. Any other topics? Voice still yours.
All right. Well, I don't know. Briefly, just because I'm curious about this, and it's off fantasy football, but NFL.
Okay.
People's, I guess, playoff predictions, or I don't know if anyone wants to say anything kind of bold. Or here, I'll say something just to start it off. So right now the Eagles and Vikings are in line in the 1 and 2 seeds in the NFC. I assuming they don't play each other beforehand, I am gonna go Saints Rams for the NFC Championship game.
I was going to say the same thing. I don't think either of them are going to be. I think the Case Keenum magic runs out at some point, and Nick Foles is not capable of getting this team to the Super Bowl.
And then I think that this is kind of what most people would say, but I'm going to go Patriots Steelers for the AFC Championship, and then Saints and Rams for the NFC Championship game. I don't know if anyone else wants to make
I'd
the
say Patriots
championship
Steelers
prediction,
for the
but-
championship. if and only if the Steelers don't play Jacksonville in an earlier.
Why would you go Jacksonville in that
Yes.
matchup?
Yeah. They just played. They picked Ben off 6 times in Heinz Field last time they played. They've gotten better as a team since that game,
Fair enough. Their offense has picked it up.
so they can keep up on offense. And if their defense is still playing at the high level, and I don't know how I feel about Jacksonville coming to New England. That could be like one of those like early dynasty, like 21, like 14, like just defensive games. But
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, yeah, Jacksonville's defense is good, but they had a lot of weak matchups, like, all
Yeah.
year. So, I don't know. Last week, they didn't look so hot. Like, Jimmy's a new guy, and the Niners don't have that many weapons, so...
So when are we saying the Garoppolo Brady Super Bowl is going to be? Is it going to be next year or the year after?
Yeah, I don't know. Sometime soon. Mike, do you have something to say about the playoffs?
Very quick.
Preview the playoffs.
Pats, Chiefs,
Pats,
Saints,
Chiefs, and the AFC?
Saints, Vikings.
I think that's
Saints, Vikings, okay. Nick,
Fun.
what about you?
Yeah, I'm like the same Saints, Vikings, and then Steelers, Pats.
All right. We'll see. All right, and then I guess just one last thing. What's coming up in the horizontal?
Oh, glad you asked.
You
So,
paid me for that.
my boy.
so I said before, this is the finale of season 1. I must say, I guess I can say it now, it's been a rather successful season. I mean, I didn't know it was going to get this far. Thought it might have been a couple, and then who knows what would happen, but we actually did stick through it.
Yeah, it was a great
13,
idea.
14 episodes. That you want to call them part 1 and 2 in season 8, episode 8.
Had a blast with it.
So, yeah, so 13 episodes, season 1. It's been nice. So, this is how it's gonna be. It's just the off season one. First one of the off season is always the start of the new season, and the championship's always the end of the season. Which, I mean, whenever I don't know when the next season's gonna start. I mean, it just depends what comes up. That's really what it depends on.
Yeah.
It could be the lottery. It could be NFL news that comes up
Yeah,
that
are
might
we gonna
affect.
have any like off fantasy topic podcasts?
Questionable. I'm gonna think about that. I would think about sticking to fantasy, but that's gonna be up to everyone else.
I could definitely see a podcast.
They're on the owners meeting. Someone write that down.
Yeah.
Someone keep that in mind.
All right.
I could definitely see a podcast like week before the Super Bowl.
Actually, you know what?
Preview.
Someone.
But you're scared to
Someone
talk
write
about
that
the Pats
down.
if they were in.
Someone write that down. We're gonna talk about the podcast in the owners meeting.
Okay. I
So
remember that.
keep that in mind.
Mike, you can add that to your sheet after. I
I
guess
think,
it's
I
different
It's
think,
on
Nick's,
computer.
I think
different
Nick's
computer.
official Super Bowl pick is right above his head.
Oh,
Really. But yeah, so this is finale. So, I mean, June could be the start of season 2. Really. I mean, I think
Long
the lottery
hiatus.
is gonna be NBA draft night.
It's a cold, long winter.
It's gonna be a long, long one. Roughly around 240 days until the next draft.
I'm gonna miss this. What am I gonna do?
Pitchers and catchers report.
We're gonna have to find a new hobby.
First week of February.
I guess me and Nick gotta train Mike.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Off season starts soon.
I'll be coming out of retirement. Baseball looks like, even volleyball
Do some
too.
infield drills. Yeah.
Coming out of 2
hopefully we
retirements.
Get a 6-man.
Yeah. But yeah. The format, it looks like it. I like this format.
I think it
With
was a
the
really
podcast.
successful season, as far as everything external and internal. The podcast I thought was a success. The league was a success.
Yeah, it's obviously we're not like posting this public, and we're not trying to like get our opinions out there. It's not really about that. It's kind of just like to look back one day and just like use this for takes, like
Yeah.
use it to remember stuff. I actually used the last podcast to write down some of my ideas that I had for the new owners meeting. Like
It's a lot of fun and it keeps us together well.
Yeah.
yeah, it's a good tool, I'd say. So I'm gonna continue this for another season, and until further notice. Really, I mean the Twitter
Ratings
page.
have been good.
The Twitter page will continue, the horizontal. All the news will. There's not gonna be much news anymore. Until like maybe I'll post some owners meetings, like any big changes that happen.
Yeah.
But other than that, the next time I'll be posted on that will be June. unless
Man,
we move up the
sad.
lottery. Whenever the lottery is, would be the next time that's going to be active.
Yeah.
After the lottery, it'll spice up a little bit more. But
Spice.
but yeah, it's going to be a long, cold off season.
Yeah.
You really, I mean, technically we obviously could do the lottery like tomorrow if you're, but there's no point to it. I mean, there's no point of
Everyone's
doing it
gonna have to
now.
worry about their picks for many, many months.
Yeah, that's
Let's
just-
do it later.
Yeah, it's best to do it draft night. I mean, unless we'll talk about that this weekend, but I don't see us changing that.
Yeah.
Just something to bring up. We're gonna basically bring up anything that was mean. That's basically the preview. No, that won't be on the podcast. That won't be a podcast. Anyone wondering?
we should all just be there anyway. So, unless we want something down in verbal, but
Yeah.
I don't know if that's necessary.
No, it's basically gonna be the same order: lottery, podcast, and then draft. The draft looks like it's gonna be offline again. Hopefully, hoping we kind of just set a date.
Yeah, and we got some new
Basically.
ideas to discuss about that as well.
Yeah, that's gonna be part of it, and well, basically same thing as last year. What we're gonna do is follow a model. Is that basically around lottery time is when we're gonna set a date for the draft officially. I already have a date in my mind. I already do. So, but like it just depends on everyone else that availability. Because if you want to do offline, online it's pretty easy to do. But I feel like the offline connection was really nice.
I agree.
But that's about it. I mean, it's been a successful season. This podcast and fantasy football.
Yeah.
Everyone was pretty active in it. I think everyone enjoyed this season. To be honest with you,
Yeah, it's a really, really active
I think
year.
everyone had fun with it. Though, like we had a little group chat too, which we never had in our leagues
Right.
before.
This is definitely the year where I think 100% of the people were in it like 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's gonna get better too because you gotta just even consider that. I mean, now like even like the draft started, like Teach he was gone for a whole year. I mean,
His first year in the league he was away.
I mean, now like we'll have this owners meeting, we'll have the lottery. He'll see Nick and Alex more that he wouldn't be able to because he just wasn't around.
And it's going to be the same guys, I think, for at least
Yeah.
a couple, however many more years. But I think next year, at least, it'll be the same guys.
Everyone
Well
is
under contract. So.
everyone is officially locked in. Alex was the last assurance today. I made sure of it. He said definitely he's in. So I think everyone's excited for.
Nick still wanted it to be formally asked. But
You know what? You can do it right in the podcast, Nick. That could be our last thing.
Nick, will you marry me?
Nick, will you join us for Juicy's League 12 and beyond?
Yeah, I'll sign up for next year.
Excellent.
Nick signed that 1-year deal, the prove it deal.
It's because his ass is in the hot seat.
Yeah, I know Nick was looking for new coordinators this offseason.
Yep, cleaned house.
Well, maybe if Nick and Josh both fail next year, they can swap franchises.
You know what? Actually, Nick, believe it or not, you actually have a cursed spot.
You're telling us now.
You're telling us now.
I never told you that. Yeah. He has the
What do you
Bob.
mean?
He has the Bob and Nate spot.
Oh, crap. Yeah, that's a terrible franchise.
That spot's never won a playoff game. Or maybe one playoff game
They
at
used to,
most.
that traditionally always comes in 7th or 8th.
Yeah, that's scary. Actually, I just remembered that.
Of course you did.
Nick will break the curse.
Nick is gonna break the curse. I'm
Because
confident.
Alex had the Igo spot because he fell in last
Oh, and he served it pretty well,
Yeah, he
too.
did.
in a very very Igo fashion.
Yeah, I always has the heavy hitters, kind of mid-pack, gets
Yeah,
hot at the end.
Nick, you actually have. You know what? You can break the curse.
Nick is the most.
Nick is the Cubs.
Or the Red
You
Sox,
gotta
depending on how you look
you
at
just
it.
gotta hire Theo.
Get the beer and chicken out.
But yeah, Nico, the floor is always still yours in this podcast. Any last words?
Awesome league, awesome podcast, awesome season, and Nick, at my request, can we get a one last Tyreek to close it out?
No, that's a spur of the moment thing. I'm not gonna just force it to your amusement.
Fair enough.
I got nothing else to say, I guess.
All right. It's been a great season 1, like we said, and we'll see you whenever in season 2.
See you guys.